Hey y'all, welcome to the Moving with Millennials podcast with your favorite millennial realtors.
We are 4 top producing agents in the DFW area, and we are ready to share the good, bad, and the real life of real estate.
Whether you're thinking about getting into real estate, already an agent, or just curious about what your agent really does, join us.
Tune in every Wednesday to see what it's really like to be on this side of the transaction.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with Moving with Millennials. Today we have one of my favorite people, Rachel Pierrette, who is my full-time admin and also Mariana's admin. And we are going to, most of you do not know is she is behind the scenes a lot for this podcast. Without her, we basically just show up and record. She does all of the editing,
The hard work,
uploading,
sound bites,
marketing, all of our social media. You did our branding. So y'all don't see her a lot, but she is basically the backbone of our podcast. So.
I would say the backbone and the brain. We're just the mouth. Like, we're literally just the mouths.
No, they do everything I could never do. So.
And you do everything we could.
Yeah, right.
Team, so.
You do everything that overwhelmed us at the beginning of like, wait, we have this really good idea, but we can't do any of that.
Yeah. They're the talent.
No.
Remember it took us forever to come up with our name, and then you did all our branding, and it took us 2 seconds to
we're like, oh,
that looks perfect. We didn't even have to give you guidance. And that's why I love you so much, because it's you just get it. She just understands.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So how did you get into being a real estate admin?
So that's a good question. I got my master's degree actually in accounting, and I worked in public accounting for a year and realized that I absolutely hated all of that. I'm just not
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've done my CPA, all of that.
Oh my
so
gosh.
when it comes to some of their bookkeeping, I kind of help with that.
Cool.
And then okay, so I did accounting, tax. It was fine, but it was just not I wasn't passionate about it. COVID hit, we worked from home, and I was this just is not my thing. I couldn't see myself doing it long term. So I got into real estate as a real estate agent. Also not super successful there. And then I was on Mariana's team, and her admin at the time, I think she had a part-time admin at the time. She got pregnant and she was leaving, and I was like, hey, I don't think I'm going to stay in real estate because I wasn't making any money, but I kind of want to. So we worked out where I jumped in as social media for her at first, and then a light TC because I really didn't know anything. I hadn't closed anything.
Right.
So I credit Mariana, shout out Mariana for everything I know as far as it goes to TC. And then it just merged from there. We worked really well together. Mm-hmm. Y'all will probably know, we're very similar. Mm-hmm. And then now I do it for Maggie too, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. So it was more so, you didn't enjoy the sales side of real estate.
No,
correct?
It is not my strengths at all.
I don't think that's not, you said I wasn't successful, but I'm that's not really that fair to say for yourself.
Right.
It's just that really wasn't your niche of real estate.
Yes.
Real estate has a lot of facets.
There's a lot of skills that y'all have that I don't even want to develop in myself because it's just not enjoyable for me.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it's good that you know that, though. It's good that you're able to say, this is not where I want to be, but I love this part. How can I make this industry still work for me in doing something a little bit different? So you mentioned TC and admin. What's the difference in those?
Yes.
And what, what's the difference? What do they mean? And then also, what's the different role you play?
Right. So they are super different. TC is transaction coordinator. So they're kind of the document management, contract, deadlines. You can hire an independent TC or have one on your own. They aren't as well versed in your business, but pretty much as soon as an agent gets a contract, whether it's a listing or a buyer under contract, they send the contract to you, and you go ahead and make sure all their compliance is done. You make sure the amendments, the contracts, everything gets into the hands of the right people, whether it's the lender or the title company.
Do you do commission disbursement as well?
Yep,
that portion
I do all compliance, and that's really different. So TCs, there's a whole variety of levels of service. So for me, I'm scheduling inspections, helping with scheduling final walkthrough, ordering home insurance and title, or ordering HOA docs, type of thing. Some TCs don't. Some TCs are just strict, make sure signatures and initials are there, submit for compliance, done. So there's a whole range of TC, and you'll notice on price where that falls.
Right. Yeah.
And then the admin.
Yeah, so admin is its whole nother beast. I would say most admins do social media, but some people are only helping on social media. For us, what admin really means is like anything Maggie needs help with, I'm going to do it.
I couldn't live without you. Yeah. I literally could not.
Like, there's no limits to me, like, for what an admin is, what I'm going to do. If I know how to do it, and Maggie doesn't have to really explain much to me to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so today, I needed bulk copies of printed documents for listing appointments, and so she did that. And then, like, she prints all my listing presentations.
Yeah. Set up searches. I can do that. I mean, I think we go through it later of, like, everything I do on admin.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, kind of, I guess for the two of them, kind of like what does your day-to-day look like? What do you do for them, like, daily versus, like, do you have, like, certain tasks that you do, like, once a month or monthly for them? Kind of, like, how does that work?
Yeah. So, every morning I hop on a call with each of them. Right now with Mariana, I don't. So, I'll kind of talk about how it looks different with Mariana being on maternity leave. My goal for her is not to look at her phone, not to do anything, do zero real estate for at least however long she wants to be full baby all the time. So I monitor her emails, make sure that's all running well. For Maggie, we hop on a call. I go through all of the transactions first because that's always my priority is I want to make sure transaction stuff is taken care of before marketing and before any other miscellaneous items. So we run through all of that. We operate on like a super tight email template system for transactions. So I make sure like email 2 has gone out to everyone who needs to get it on Tuesday and email 3 goes out this day, that type of thing. Then I focus on social media. So for Mariana gives me a little bit more free reign on what to post on hers. For Maggie, we go a little more in depth.
I would think it would be the exact opposite.
No, not at all. Mariana, I think, has gotten to the point where we have a lot of trust, and she also knows, like, done is better than perfect. Maggie is an overthinker more so. But
for sure,
it's really good, though, because it's kind of pushed me to where, like, I don't just type out a caption and hit send. Like, I'm actually really putting a lot more thought into the captions I do now.
Yeah, and I trust you 100%. I think I'm just like, I don't...
But I'm a control freak.
No, I'm not. Because your captions, they're perfect. Like, you, like, a caption that she does takes, like, a minute, and I would sit there and I'd be like, no, like...
Yeah.
But it is, too, like, I take a lot of responsibility because it's their social media. Like, most people don't know that I'm posting it. So I know it's like...
a good social media, they should never know that there's someone else behind it, right? So it's good that no one knows that Rachel's behind Maggie posting for Maggie.
She does everything.
And I kind of change, like, the voice. Like, I kind of know what Maggie sounds like. I know what Mariana sounds like. And I just want to make sure, like, y'all like what's going out there. Because at the end of the day, it's coming back on you. It's not coming back on me.
Yeah. And even you'll, like, post on stories, and I'm like, oh... That sounds like me, or like I wake up to like something on my story and I'm like, oh, I love it.
Yes. On a monthly basis. So that's like day to day. We're just checking off tasks. We work in Trello. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it. That's a lifesaver for me. It's like kind of like a to-do list app, and that's where we track everything.
It's like a cross between like to-do list / like a whiteboard that you can be moving things around on. That's
very you can manipulate.
I mean, I might see it on Trello.
You do.
Yeah,
it's really good.
We were like a little hesitant at first when Mariana and I first got into it. I couldn't live without it now.
Okay, that's good to know.
On a monthly basis, well, then I do things on a weekly basis. So Wednesdays are my compliance days. I make sure everything's in compliance. Thursdays used to be the day that I updated the website. We're behind on that.
Yeah, but, the 12 transactions that we just got through.
Tuesdays are the big TC day. And then Fridays, I kind of try and help touch base with clients. So I send out like open house emails and just try and drum up a little bit of activity before the weekend and try and save them time. If possible.
It's really helpful.
And then on a monthly basis, we're doing like our longer term things. So we do a newsletter for each of the agents. That happens once a month. Sometimes we promote like a monthly freebie. Other things that we do.
Events that are coming up. You probably have to touch base on those, right?
Buyer, what is the blast emails
to
like buyer needs.
We do those all the time.
Jake loves those.
No,
like,
I don't mind those as much as the
just listed. Or I'm like, why are people still doing that? Because it's like not even really necessary.
It's not
But
necessary.
the buyer needs is really helpful.
The buyer
Yes,
needs
absolutely.
buyer needs
I fully
but the
support
list
that.
that just listed too.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
like,
get it.
I get 3
If you need to
emails a
see
day.
it,
Why?
you're gonna see it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it fits what my client needs, it's
It's
hit
going
their
to be
portal.
on their MLS. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So if you're an agent, please stop.
Yeah.
Take me off your list, please.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Like, we have group text with every client, like,
Yeah.
throughout the
So
transaction.
that's something as far as like TC versus admin. TCs don't always talk to your clients. Sometimes they only talk to the agents on their side. And I think this was like a hump I had to get over at first because I didn't really want to talk to the clients at all. But having the admin who touches base too, I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I actually have a relationship with their clients,
Right.
and they know, like, okay, like if Maggie doesn't answer a call, I can call Rachel.
Yeah, and then like today I posted that closing, like you know them, but not like in person. So you were like, they're so cute. I'm like, because you get to know them, but then like it's different, like when you see their faces.
Yeah,
So.
and I think that's like a big thing is on our morning calls, I really like to get to know the clients because you'll learn a little bit more about how to communicate and what they want to know.
Yeah,
right.
How they operate and like communicate. There's something else I was gonna ask. So like, how do you choose like what to post on social media?
Well, we for you have a pattern,
Yes.
and we're doing like a little aesthetic on the Instagram where it's y'all will probably know the circle.
Yeah.
That's every other post, and then in between. For May, Maggie was absolutely smashing it, so we just had sold post, post, and then like buyer post. We do use like for both of the agents I work with, and I know some of y'all use like different
programs.
Yes.
Yeah, different programs to help with social media, just so that I'm not always having to come up with it. Because coming up with like 40 posts a month would be
is a lot.
impossible.
And these are like content creation programs.
Yes.
There's lots of those out there for agents if they're listening.
Yes.
And we all use various ones.
Yes.
So there's nothing,
And
not
we all
one that we would
live
recommend.
in Canva.
Canva, yes.
And do your research on which one fits you as a brand too, right? There's a ton of different content creation programs, or I guess
Yeah.
Done for you posts.
For sure.
Things.
But they have to fit with who you are, right? Like your brand is about you, right?
Yeah.
Someone wants to work with you because of the face of the company. So it has to match with you, and then Canva is kind of where you get the post and then you can customize it a little bit more.
And you do a really good job of customizing like the caption, because like the captions don't fit, or like on these programs don't fit like what I would say. So you, like,
sometimes they're a little like stiff, or they're a little more out there, and so you have to like get a good medium.
It's more like inspiration. We use them as like inspirational content, and then you just customize them to fit.
And I think that's a big thing with all of y'all is you don't ever come off super salesy in your captions, because that's a big like downfall. And it's just authentic. Like tell the story, because each of y'all know the stories in real estate are crazy, and they make a good post.
Yeah, people love
themselves.
Stories.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. The good and the bad, really.
Yeah,
People, like,
for
both
sure.
The good and the bad.
Well, people like to know that you're real. People like to know that, like, hey, I'm having a bad day and I hit a tire in the semi-truck tire today.
Yeah.
I hit a nail.
I had a blowout on the way to my vampire facial. Such a hard life.
It's like people want to know, like, oh, that's a real person. Or like sometimes Maggie used to love when I like do my posts and I mess up, or my stories.
And
like,
leave it.
oh, like this is real life. So just be
so
a real person, especially on social media when everyone tries to be perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference between an unlicensed versus a licensed assistant?
So I want y'all to jump in on this, because I am licensed, so I don't totally know all the differences. But as far as being licensed, I can open doors. So if we ever need like showing help, I'll be down to do that. If we ever need an inspector to come and do that, I can help with that. I would say that's a huge part.
Huge plus. And like contracts.
Yes, and so that's the other big thing is unlicensed people really aren't supposed to write on the Trek contracts. Like that's a big no-no actually.
Right.
So part of that is I can even come up with the verbiage. If Maggie says like we need to change the closing date to this, I can draft my own verbiage, put that on an amendment, and update
Send it out
that.
for signatures.
Whereas if you're unlicensed, the best practice is to copy and paste something that my agent sent me and put it on there. I don't know if everyone follows that, but that's kind of the big differences. As a licensed agent, I technically can negotiate, but I like do a strong no on that.
Yeah, I usually just copy you on like when we're negotiating for a pair, so you're in the loop or whatever. I'm trying to think. You've like written offers for me.
Yeah,
like,
I can write an offer. Unlicensed agents couldn't
Cannot,
or unlicensed CCs can't write an offer. There's certain things like if someone were to call about a property and I was unlicensed, I couldn't tell them as much as like a licensed agent potentially could. Unlicensed TCs really can't give any real estate advice. I try and stay away from giving any advice. I say like Maggie or Mariana is who you should contact, but like if it comes down to it and I know what their answer is, I can give it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why you would lean towards someone who is licensed, right? You can call and be like, hey, we're going to write an offer right now on this house. Can you write it up for me by the time I get back to my office? That way
you can review it in a PDF.
For sure. Yeah, and I think like the biggest, like if you were unlicensed, like it'd be totally different. Yeah. I feel like it's, I get why people want a licensed admin because I mean, it's just, it's a different world
and it's not necessary, but you just have to be a lot more careful about going out of your scope of work if you're unlicensed.
Well, I feel like because you're licensed, you also understand our job probably a little better than an unlicensed.
For sure.
And she was in the field. She understood like being in the field versus not.
And I have that education, like as you know, real estate education isn't really like doing the job. Right. But now I'm like renewing my license, so that helps. 98 hours.
Those hours.
Just you can let it overlap just a little bit. Yeah. You're totally fine.
Not that
I. Mariana is it really not letting that happen?
I know.
Yeah. I know. She would never.
Mariana,
when we're done recording, I'll let you know just how much I overlap.
Yeah. I have 60 more hours left.
July 31st. I think I have like 94.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I got this. I said 30 hours in June, 30 hours in July, and I'll be done.
Yeah. Well, when I saw what Jake was going through, I was like, okay, I gotta. This was like September 1. My license expired the 30th
of September.
Yeah. I literally but the classes were not available like in the beginning, so it was like I literally renewed like the day.
And my issue was I thought Maggie and I renewed at the same time, and literally a week before mine was due, I realized no, I renew a month earlier than Maggie, so I had a week.
And they kept sending emails. They keep sending emails that stress me out. Like, hey, your license, and I'm like, I know, but I'm getting it.
They used to let you like extend.
So then I talked to someone at CCAR or CCAR, and they were like, oh, you can just pay a fee and they'll extend it for, I think it was like 60 days or something. It was like $200. I was like, this is the easiest $200 I've ever spent. So then I called to do that, and like, we no longer do that due to COVID. I was like, due to COVID, you should be doing it. So anyways, so basically I had a week to get all of mine done, and it was also a week that I was going out of town.
Yeah. And that's 90
and
hours.
And negotiating
that you have to take tests for 3 of them. So for the 90 hours, you have to take tests after each 30 slots.
So in the first 2 years, it's like the 98 hours. After that
like
renewal, it's like 16, 18 something.
We're going to wait till the last stage of those.
Yeah.
Like 18, easy.
Piece of cake, for sure.
All right, so the next one, this is a big one for me because I like, obviously my volume, I've already done what I did last year, and I'm like feeling the heat a little bit. So when is an agent ready to hire an admin or a TC, just like help of any sort?
You probably are. I feel like all of y'all are.
I need the help.
So I think a TC, especially, even if you are a new agent, you probably should be working with a TC, especially if you don't have a coach, just to learn the process and not mess up, just as like protection for yourself. Because there is a lot of nuances that they don't teach you in real estate school that you need to know. Like a seller's disclosure probably doesn't need to go into the hands of a lender, and you may not know that. So I would say like paying for the TC, they're paid when you close, like when it's just an independent TC. So I would invest in that up front, especially if you're new. Regardless of your volume, I think a TC is really, really smart.
Yeah. Well, just because you don't have the time to do the compliance, right? Like, you don't have time to be sitting down doing compliance, filing for that,
it's the worst.
Calling or doing HOA docs and doing all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I just don't have
so much time.
And just paying for that second set of eyes to not miss a deadline, I would think is worth it.
Yeah.
So I think TC, like, must have you really know what you're doing when it comes to TC. Like, I can tell the way you speak about transactions. You're very on top of it.
But I
still.
hate doing it.
Yeah, and it's time consuming.
So that means it's time. Like, it's time for you to leverage that and just hand it over to someone. And that's how I, in my last listing, I TC'd it. I was like, I do not have
Did you love it?
Yes.
It's so nice. Did you use Tara?
On the wrong day.
Tara?
No. See, and that's the thing. It's like there's a story of why, but
it takes a lot of trust.
It does, and so like I knew I had like I already had 2 or 3 under contract. I knew I had 3 listings that were about to go live, and I should have reached out to but I was like, I kind of need time to talk to them and get to know them first. And so I was like, in the middle of all this chaos, I don't have time to even do that.
Yeah,
so then
I
it's
know.
Like, I kind of like missed my opportunity to get it in the middle of like all the craziness, and so now it's like. Well, since I got back from Mexico, I feel like I've been on a treadmill like running 100 miles an hour since when I stepped back.
And that's how I felt about hiring a full-time admin because I needed a Rachel, like someone that knew exactly what to do, but like I didn't have time to like interview people or like find that. And then like Mariana was like the ultimate connector, which thank the Lord for that.
That's where she takes the ultimate credit because she really did take the time to train me, and that does take a lot of time.
Yes.
And then a lot of TCs too, like they have what they're going to do for a transaction, but a great TC, I think, will take into consideration what you normally do for your client and customize and add in those extra things or,
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's slightly easier to hire a TC because it's transactional. So you're hiring them for one transaction. You're not necessarily having to like hire them and pay them a salary.
Right.
You know? It's
exactly.
Whereas an admin, you can't pay them per transaction because they're not focused on transactions.
Correct. Yes.
So I think that's the difference.
Right. It's a different incentivization.
Yes.
Like for a TC, you pay per transaction. They obviously want it to close, so they get paid. Admin, when you need an admin, when you feel like you're going insane and ripping your hair out.
Perfect time for you.
I'm already insane.
Well, I think that's like, I mean, we're both at that point, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of agents, you don't realize you're getting there until you're drowning, right? And then you're like, well, now I don't even have time to interview someone. I don't have time to find someone. So then you're drowning even more. And then you do it. So I think that's where, I mean, being by myself and raising 2 kids and working 60 hours a week, I'm finally at the point where I'm like, please help me somewhat.
I would say when you're getting in that 3, 4, 5 transactions pretty regularly a month range, that's pretty close to when you're ready.
Yeah.
And it's tough with the full-time. I think you kind of as an agent, before you bring on a full-time admin, have to go through a growing pain where you can't really do it, but like you're trying to just to see if business falls off, then you don't want to have brought someone on.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the concern, with an admin, especially right now. I'm already seeing a slight change in the market possibly, so it's like, maybe this isn't the time to hire an admin, but it's like, I definitely think it is. I'm like way overdue for a TC for sure.
Hiring the TC first maybe is like the starting point, right? And seeing how much that gets off your plate, and then after that, because even that listing that I had and I did it, it was so nice. But I felt like I didn't have to obviously I was still checking in and doing that kind of stuff, but to remove even the stress of where like someone else is checking this compliance, someone else is checking this and staying on it, like that was just so nice.
Yeah. Right. Good. My TC, like I hired one like mid-year last year, but she did everything transaction-wise, but she didn't input the MLS listing. And if you are an agent listing, like the MLS input is so tedious. And like,
I kind of love doing it.
It's a nightmare.
It's just nightmare. So, but in like anytime a listing goes live, it's like such a cluster.
Yes.
Like, so
there's so many moving parts with like supplemental docs, showing times, open houses scheduled, photos up there. Do we have the seller's disclosure? Where
where's the Supra?
Well, then your phone
is it charged?
Is
your
the
phones
sign
are
going to go out?
And your phone's like blowing up before you've even had time to set up showing instructions, which like always happens. Like
the signs is a big one. I would say in real estate, as a real estate agent, you can figure out how to leverage your time to where you're only doing what you want. There's TCs who go out and put out listing signs and pick them up and all of that.
That's amazing.
I only do that from like time to time.
I never asked, but like
for
it's
me,
really not.
I think like for me, it's like I need at this point, it's like I need a TC because I'm having to do so much of the stuff that I don't like that now I'm like I'm not even getting to do the stuff that I like. Like I actually do enjoy social media, but I'm like barely posting because it's like well, I'm focused on all the other crap that like I don't enjoy doing. So it's like I've got to get that like off of my plate. One, so that my business can continue to grow, but so that I can actually enjoy the portions of our job that I actually do like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is growing my business and like through social media is like what I like. Like I like engagement and talking to people, and I'm like barely active now.
I am happy to sit at my computer from 8 to 5. Like that's perfectly fine for me. But that's not what y'all got into real estate to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
So I think the fear though, right, is that you'll hire someone there, you'll slow down. But I think what we need to remember is that we're very motivated.
Yeah.
Like individuals, all of us I think have the hustle bone, and so that's really not an option. Right? Like we are going to work our dang hardest to ensure that we never slow down.
I think that is part of the fear for me. I think the other part of it is that I will hire someone that will not be an extension of me. They won't be my voice. They won't be my attitude. They won't be my experience. So it's like our brand, like us, that like the our clients get like us. Like we are their experience. So if I hire someone that's like much more dry or too serious or the opposite of the spectrum, too silly at certain times or like way just different than me, there's going to be a difference in that experience, and that's not like that's my fear. It's like I want someone that's
like you,
like clone me, you know?
I would start with like a full-time TC and then like start really interviewing people.
It takes a long time to find a fit. I would say like good traits for a TC is being really curious. Like when we hop on our calls, like I just want to know literally every random detail of what they're doing, because it helps me when I go to write a caption or like talk to a client to act how they would.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, communication, because I basically, not like I have to read their minds, but I have to either have been included or just know this is how Maggie always does something, and that takes a while to get there.
That's the thing too, is right? It's like
it's not going to be perfect.
Like, I want my nanny to fall into my house and be perfect, but we have to remember like we're going to have to coach someone, and like it's going to take time for them to know us and them to know you, that like, oh, Brandie's actually being very serious today. We need to not mess with her and be silly. Like like there's that, like it's going to take that like growing pain of like adjusting together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else.
I mean, like, I know.
You're ready.
Like, logically, I know all of it that's there. Yes, I know. It's like the puzzle pieces are all there. I'm just like, well.
Yeah, the hardest part is finding
a personality.
someone.
It's like.
When Mariana first hired me, we did like a 30, 60, 90-day check-in where here's in 30 days where I should be at. And we met after 30 days. And we were very honest, like, this is working, this isn't working. And that's like those uncomfortable-ish conversations are how you end up being a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really
for sure.
I know, that gives you some stress.
On top of like
bulldoze right through that.
Trying to find your full-time nanny. It's like
it's killing me. That is
hiring is a skill in and of itself.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm so sick of talking to girls, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of it.
Maybe we need a man.
Yeah.
A Manny.
Yeah.
My dad was our Manny for a year.
I would. Is he available?
I don't know. Maybe.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah.
That was super
I was saying, is there anything else that you feel like?
Yeah.
If you ever, like, anyone listening wants to get into TC or admin, I'm happy to talk about it because I love it.
Ooh, I have a question. Is there training for TC?
Yes.
Like, where did you get your training for TC?
There is. I personally haven't done it because Mariana, like, I got 8 years of experience in one short, crazy year. But on Facebook, there's a couple TC groups. I think TC Collective and Right Hand of a Realtor. They have formal TC training, which is great. And I think you should do that, especially if you don't have real estate experience.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right Hand of a Realtor.
A TC Collective. Adam,
One more. So we've touched base on this and we talked about it beforehand, but you do so much for the podcast.
So much.
And I'm asked, I don't know about you guys, but I'm asked like relatively often, like, how did you get your podcast going? Like, how was that? What was that process?
Yeah, I'm like, I have no clue.
We're not. Yeah, so like, we're not going to dig in deep. Like, this is not going to be a quick deep dive of like you listener how you can go start a podcast, but just like basic steps, like so for people kind of know what to Google basically. I'm going to walk through it and then you can kind of like correct me if I'm wrong. But like, so the first thing we had to do was like obviously come up with like our name, which if you are part of Moving with Millennials, you know that took us approximately 14 years.
Yeah, like forever.
We could not come up with a name.
We had recorded like 10 episodes and
still didn't have a name. So once we did that, we kind of then had to go through and make sure that name was available on podcasts, like through Apple, Spotify, everywhere. And then really after that, I think we all kind of thought we would just like record it and like you upload it to Apple and like it's like done.
No.
But that's not true. So basically re-record the episodes, they go to, I don't know what it's actually called. I call it like a little holding pen, but it's really, I guess, a distributor.
Yeah, so they go to, you have a podcast host.
Yes.
And that's who hosts it. That's your little holding chamber. And then it goes out
to your distributor.
Yeah, I think it's called directory. That's where I got the word from.
Yeah.
All different, hundreds of different directories, but the big ones,
Or like the Apple Podcast, the Spotify, like those. So, and then eventually, like once you get like enough listeners on that, like your your directories, those are the ones that allow you to like potentially monetize it and give you chances to like record quick commercials before and after and things like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's exactly how it works, but it takes a long, like not a long time, but there's processing times and approvals. Like you have to show that you are a serious podcaster.
Yeah, we had to have multiple episodes recorded for them to listen and to approve. So that's the thing is like you can't go through the approval process until you've already done the legwork of actually recording some episodes. Because I know that like Apple took a while to approve, but Spotify took even longer to approve.
Yeah, they can take like a couple of weeks.
Well, I think that's what everyone thinks. Like, oh, I'll just start a podcast, and tomorrow we'll be on Apple. And it's a long process. It's grueling. I think it's doable, but it definitely takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of heavy lifting on the front end. And then once it's a system, then it's like, now it's like a little
now
easier.
we know like, okay, on a week, a new podcast comes out on Wednesdays. We do the social post. We do soundbite post on Friday or Monday. So we have that as the system.
Yeah, so good. The speed of
my God, no, you're totally fine.
She's trying to get more people in.
Yes,
I thought that would be
definitely.
Yes.
That was so smart. Yeah, it is a process. I mean, because we started May, didn't go live until October.
I think,
So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a huge thing. For the podcast, for everything, a good system is how we do it.
Yes. Yeah, because I know that like we'll get the email on Tuesday that it's like done processing. I'll get the notification on Wednesday that it's hit Apple and Spotify because I like sign up for the notification. So it's like I know to like look for those things.
Yes, and I'm a routine routine girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the way to like be successful kind of with things is just to
Can you guys mention if Rachel goes on vacation again?
Oh my gosh, y'all! Before I was freaking out.
I feel so bad now.
No, you have to go.
No.
Yes.
She didn't tell me how bad she was freaking out.
Like,
I was freaking out also, but I got it all done. So
no,
I know it'd be good.
You like told me exactly where everything. Well, you always do, but like you did the legwork ahead, and luckily all those files like were like clear to close or whatever. Like if it had been like a week before, I think I would have really freaked out. But
and that's what a good TC does.
You were really freaking out.
You were.
I was. I know. Like I didn't.
We
tell
could
you
not. None of us could wait till Rachel came back. We're like, oh no.
And I like did not text her. I was
Maggie's like on her ship, like paddling through. She's like, I can't make it.
But that's like as a TC.
But you should want that. You should want someone so good that like it's hard.
Like I care about their success so much.
Yeah, and we can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell like a good person does. Like you are their business. Like you are part of their business, and you're their arms.
She's
and
part of the brand. Yes, for sure. Couldn't live without you.
Really. That was good. Thank you so much, Rachel. You're really nice.
Yes.
Super fun.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Nothing from me.
I think that's it. We didn't really grill you on like any like personal stuff or anything. So you really, for an episode, you really got off pretty easy. So I mean, like the rest of us have gone through like.
I would have edited it out anyways.
She 100% would have.
It wouldn't have made it in.
I love it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Well, if you guys have any questions or like anything you would like to add about TC or admin, be sure to post on Instagram in the comments or reach out to us.
Yes, I'll see them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.